Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Debra Eckerling, creator of the DEB Method for Goal Setting Simplified. I'm also the author of your Goal Guide and 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting. You can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. So every week I bring together some of my people to chat about the topic. And today we're talking about modern leadership because, come on, things have changed. Kind of got to roll with it. And I almost feel like we have to roll with it. And by next week, all the rules may have changed again. And I've got such a wonderful panel for you today. Whether you're watching us as GoalChat Live or watching the replay or listening to us as GoalChat on the Marketing Podcast Network, we are so glad you're here to discuss this ever-evolving, very important topic. And we have with us Jess Dewell from Red Direction. Hi, Jess. It's always so nice to see you.
Always great to be here.
Jeannette Seibly, who I actually met through Jess, and I always say this, unless it's on purpose, my guests don't know each other. It just happened that they were great on the topic. And Isioma Utomi, did I do it right? Am I close?
Isioma Utomi, yes.
Isioma Utomi, who I met because every month I lead a goals mixer because on the show I'm bringing my friends together. If I don't know you, you have to come to the mixer so we could be friends, so you could be on my show. And that's how we got connected. And she met Jess last month because Jess was one of my featured guests. Anyway, now that you know how we know each other and you know that everybody is awesome, I would love for my guests to introduce themselves better. Well, actually, introduce yourselves because really all everybody knows is that you're awesome. And we'll go from there. So, Jess, let's start with you. Great to see you.
Thank you. It is so great to be back. And you know, I like to talk about leadership, and I like to talk about leadership in a different light than what is typical, because who we are determines how we lead. And of course, there's all of these things that give us the structure. But guess what? In the end, it's still up to us to take the action. So if we can't claim it, and we try and take action, we're out of alignment. So the goal is to claim who we are and what we're trying to do and figure out how those overlap. And that's really what we're doing at Red Direction, to confidently and quickly make decisions that allow us to move that needle and keep us on path, because we're in an age where no matter what, we have to do more with less. And we have to accept that technology is changing at a pace that it doesn't even matter if we don't want to be an early adopter, we still have to adopt.
The other thing that I think is, well, fabulous about you, but fabulous in general. So you spill a secret in 52 Secrets.
I do.
But yes. You're in the focus chapter.
I am in the focus chapter.
But you've also been on the show talking about leadership several times already. Uh-huh. So I love that Isioma disappeared. Let's see if we can find her. There you are. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway, the beauty of live streaming. But so your tip in the book, it has to do with focus and the present retreats, which I'm sure you'll go into, because it's like I talk about goals and I go into, I go into foundational stuff. This is something that's very true for you. Yes. But all of the principles really intersect. All the different things you need for focus, you also need for leadership, vice versa. So I think, well, I know that it's going to be a fun conversation. And the thing about leadership too, it's you have to lean into who you are, but you also have to lean into the people around you, the team, which, like I said, I am sure we will talk more of, but I feel like now it's time to meet our other people. So, Jeannette, well, I know them, but for everybody else too, it's really great to see you. Thanks for joining.
It's great to see you again too. Jeannette Seibly. I'm out of Denver, Colorado, and it's a hot day here. So anyway, I have been a leadership results coach for over 32 years. I've been in leadership for a very long time, since I was a teenager. And it's always been fascinating to me. There's this old Chinese quote that says, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And I've been watching that, particularly right now, with there's so many changes going on, but a lot of it isn't really new. It's new to people who haven't gone through the other iterations, but it's not that new. My focus with a lot of my clients is not only change, but also focusing on their communication style. Because along with change, as a leader, if you're not able to articulate what you want and where you want to go and be, it's very hard to be an influencer and very difficult to attract followers.
I am so with you on the communication thing. I believe I just said to someone this weekend that I firmly believe if you can talk, if you can write, if you can communicate, you could do anything. If you can't, everything's just that much harder.
I would agree.
Isioma, great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I love what Jeannette just says. We actually have a fair amount in common. So I am a leadership development coach and consultant. Interestingly enough, my focus area is at the intersection of leadership and innovation. I empower emerging leaders, particularly to drive business results at work. And the reason why it's such a fascinating kind of connection, I think, between what I do and what she does as well, because a lot of it has to do with dealing with change. If you want to be successful in this era, there is no escaping it. You have to be, adaptable. You have to be curious. Curiosity is a topic that's come up so often in conversations these days. What happens when, there's a new chip drop, or you hear, there's latest AI development? What is your inclination? Are you thinking, oh, this is fun and interesting and new? I don't know much about it, but I'd like to know more. Or is it more so, no, don't want this in my life. So it's always curious to see how people react to things. And that serves as a solid foundation for how we also react to changes in the workplace. And so I think that we have a lot to talk about in this area. So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
And one thing that I say about me all the time, which is basically, I am in a, my whole thing is about helping people embrace change by choice or by circumstance. And your goal guide came out January 2020, 6 weeks before everybody got changed by circumstance. And I'm finding this year in particular, people they're frustrated, they're stressed, but by I guess being the leader to your own life, in addition to whoever it is you choose to lead, by embracing that, then you are in a better position for success for yourself and the people around you.
Definitely.
Anyway, and you've all alluded to this a little bit, but I feel like we need to ask the question, what is modern leadership? What is this word, this phrase that we came up with? How do you define it? How we start with you, Jess?
Sure. I'll lead off with this as a starting point to get to a cumulative definition here, because I think we will grow and evolve together. There are so many ways to go. So the point that I will add to a whole definition would be that there are limits of what we are able to do within our organization, our capacity and our team's capacity, the expectations versus the reality of what we set for clients and how we find those clients. And then, of course, money, time, and energy. And so when we can recognize those limits, it allows us to understand what is really possible and what is an absolute no versus a maybe no versus a maybe yes or a definite yes. And then other work can happen in that dynamic, flexible way so that the right choice can be made for the right time to remain at the forefront and flowing with intention.
So basically, modern leadership is being self-aware, team-aware, so you could be the most productive, get the most done, get the best results.
Yeah, and I would say, don't forget the limits, because we can be aware, but if we don't embrace our limits, we're still floundering around.
That's true. And a lot of people, and I did a bit on wellness for a team meeting last week. And that was the thing. It's you need to set boundaries, because it's really easy to try and do everything. You're never going to be successful. Jeannette is nodding. What is your definition of modern leadership?
Well, I have a lot of different definitions. I think my big focus, and has been for a long time, is job fit. So a lot of people today think they can do anything, be anything, what have you. The reality is that's not the truth. While you might have the skills to do something, if you do not have the interest to do it, it really isn't going to matter, because the quality isn't going to be there. The passion isn't going to be there. And unfortunately, there are a lot of companies that, while they're hiring, promoting, doing job transitioning, are not taking time to make sure that the person fits the role. And as a result, you have a lot of top talent, like say somebody gets promoted. They really didn't want the promotion. They took it because there's more money involved, or they get a nice office or whatever, perks, what have you.
Mhm.
And the sad thing is that person will eventually fail. And even if there's a position available where they can go backwards to the old position, their ego isn't going to allow it. So they'll find another job, and then other top talent will follow along with them. And it's the most costly, unrealized expense that most companies aren't aware of. And today, it's just, I mean, modern leadership to me is like, are we doing all we can do to make sure that our people have the tools to really excel? And it's hard to excel when you're in a job that you're not winning at.
Oh, I am so 100%, 200 gazillion thousand% with you on that. Okay, I'm going to take cuts. So in my take, because I'm on a mission to change goal culture in and out of the workplace, it's exactly what I believe. It's if you bring in a me to do a goals workshop, then we can identify the right skills and the parts of the job that people are getting excited about. So they do more of the things in alignment and leave the other things to people who are going to excel at that. So
Exactly.
I love this.
And the true definition of team.
It is the true definition of team, because then everybody's happy, everybody's motivated, nobody goes away, which is the goal, I think, of any company, is to keep your top people.
Correct.
Isioma, how do you define modern leadership?
So when I think about modern leadership, I think about the question that really drives a lot of the interactions I have with organizations. And it's really often around, how can I help my people be more successful at work? And there are a couple of things that go into that. So priorities, so knowing your goals. So this is like the perfect conversation to be having with you. Really understanding what it is that is value adding to the organization is extremely important. And people underestimate just how important it is to actually know what the meaning of value is in any kind of team. And of course, having the right, training and knowledge and skill sets, as I think everyone has touched on. If you are not set up to succeed in that manner, from the beginning, you're going to have little bits of trouble here and there. And of course, being enabled to have that success. So more than on top of goals, we like to talk about habits and how are you creating systems that actually allow you to be successful. So a lot of people focus on one aspect, maybe the goals, but might not actually create the systems that allow them to build on whatever they've learned to actually achieve the goals that they want to achieve. And then finally, probably the most underestimated aspect for me in discussions I have with people is relationships. So more than ever, your ability to collaborate, to build relationships with stakeholders as a leader, unparalleled in importance, because it's, in the days of the old boys club, there's a reason why certain people, you're like, what do they know about their job? They barely do anything, but they know all the right people. So now we need people who are both competent and also have those relationships professionally in order to actually get ahead in their careers. And so I think it's important to have all those different elements to actually be successful in the modern workplace. So that for me is how I define modern leadership.
I love that you mentioned the relationships, because as I said at the top of this, you can't reach your goals on your own, you need your people. And that is true in every situation, personal and professional. relationships and communication, which I know everybody on the panel is a huge fan of, they're key to anything. And the word networking, I'm on a little tear lately. I feel like that's the wrong word. It's relationship development. You meet people and you see where it goes. If it's all about, the surface, no one's going to succeed. So what is everybody's thought on that relationship development as it pertains to leadership?
Okay, can you reframe? Okay, start, Jeanette, because I was like, could you reframe that?
Oh, what you mean? My five sentence questions aren't clear enough for you? Yes, Jeanette, what do you think about the relationship piece?
Well, I think you should reframe the question because I was ready to, and it went, yeah. Go ahead and reframe it. I love how Isioma brought in the importance of relationships in leadership development. For the others of you, what is it? What do you think is that aspect of relationship development? Because everything's based on relationships. It feels like a no-brainer, but a lot of people don't get it. So what is your take on its role? I think it's very important that you actually learn how to communicate, meaning how to have a conversation and get to know the other person. Too often we rely too much on texting or emails. None of us, at least most, probably with the exception of the people on this panel, are not the best communicators. And so what happens is that they use emojis or they use jargon or what have you. They don't proof what they, just text or typed or what have you. And guess what? The other person takes it negatively. So the point here is to make sure that you have one-on-one conversations such that when you are in a hurry and you're texting, that if you do make a mistake, people don't go, oh boy, just wait till, like that. That's how silos and factions, all these other things that a lot of companies are having to deal with today really gets in the way of actually achieving the goals that the company, the team, the department, what have you, or the client needs.
Yes. Jess, are you ready to jump in? You look like you're thinking.
I'm looking for something, but I'm not finding it right at this moment. Well, they're my books, right? And I was going to pull out a book because Jeanette spawned that in my mind here. So here's what I'll say. To add to this amazing conversation, a point that has not been made yet, because I could make both of those points too. So I'll pick a different view to add, and that is, it's the relationship right here with you as yourself, me as myself. Because if I don't know myself, I don't know what I can and can't communicate. If I don't know myself, I don't know if I'm reacting or responding, even though I think I might be responding. If I don't know me and where I'm at and what I'm capable of, I don't understand until it's too late. A boundary has been crossed. And so to be clear, to be able to have the conversations and build these relationships really does start with the self, even when we are responsible leading and removing obstacles for those that are working for us.
Yes, because if you don't know yourself, if you don't have the foundation, which is my big, yes, you need the foundation for your goals and every certain thing. If you don't know that, the floor is going to drop out from under you, and that's no good for anybody. You're going to be on a hamster wheel and not knowing what's up. So you start with yourself, and then do we think I feel like relationships have always been important, but even more so now because we all communicate this way, we're in not even just different parts of the states, different parts of the world.
Yeah.
For this conversation, and the fact that it's so easy to bring people together for a conversation, is the relationship development piece, or is it just because we are professional women who, I worked in corporate for many years, and boys club, alarm bells. Yes, I remember. I was the wrangler. I was the director of communications. I was keeping everybody consistent. And I'm trying to go back in the Wayback Machine in my brain to say, was it a culture thing? Or is it just now we're stronger? Thoughts?
I think it was a survival thing. I think a lot of people are still in survival because a lot of times people want to be seen a particular way. There's nothing authentic about that when people do that. And so people get very nervous when they're not seen the way they truly are. But if you learn to say, that's who I really am. So if you're a woman and you're assertive and say, that is who I am, now learn how to be effective. And that, I think, is the key in modern leadership. Is it's okay to be a woman. It's okay to be assertive. It's okay to stand up and speak up. Just take responsibility for what you're saying and how you're going about it.
I feel like this is a great place to mention that you are like the brag queen, right? One of your specialties is helping people brag effectively. If you are watching this as, or if you're listening to this, Jeannette is playing show and tell with her book, which is the opposite of you're not mirrored. So the words are coming in fuzzy, but please tell people what your book is and the value of being able to brag.
The book is Get Your Brag On. It's a 5th edition, How to Sell Yourself and Win in 5 Easy Steps. Because most people, particularly women, do not share their wins, their accomplishments, their achievements, their successes. They kind of sort of, maybe I could have, like that. And as a result, their communication nobody listens.
By the way, that's the book I was looking for. Just so you know. Okay. So it is also at my house because I pulled a few books out and they are going back and forth when I'm working at home on some of my deep work. And this was one of the ones that I pulled. So it must be in transit. So just so you know, now I don't have to look anymore. It's not here, but it is Jeanette's book. Her brag book.
Thank you.
And I love that title, by the way, Jeannette, because I think it's absolutely perfect. It's one of the things I encourage, especially women, to do a lot more. Really just recording what we've accomplished. Because, most people, so when it comes to time for promotion, then they start digging up from the archives of our memory, like, oh, what did we do on this particular thing? But if we actually record it on a regular basis, we'd be amazed at the things we accomplish.
We really would. And think of the confidence boost that would create.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a friend of mine, Cheryl Hickerson, who's the CEO of Females in Finance. She has a saying is own your greatness. And one of the ways to do that is learn, like what just Isioma, I hope I got that right. Just mentioned is like get present to what that is, because so often we get caught up in the task of things and we fail to look at what is the result, what was the impact of those results, and then really take it on like, okay, how can I improve on that for the next time?
So we have Jeannette's superpower, which is helping people really identify and quantify the brag to empower themselves to be better leaders, teammates, etc. Jess's superpower is the present retreat, because when you know who you are in a better position to do everything or anything.
Take on the world and win.
Take on the world and win. And I love this because the D is determine your mission. It's really the same thing. When you know who you are, what you are about, then you are positioned. You've got your North Star, your compass.
Exactly.
That's going to help you elevate. And Isioma, which superpower, since I don't know you as well, but which superpower are you claiming in the conversation?
I would say it's directing yourself to be able to drive business results. So most of my professional background, I am an engineer originally, and before I went to leadership development. And it's interesting because I used to run Six Sigma projects. Basically, there's a framework that we use to achieve business results and achieve our goals in the workplace, usually to either reduce costs or improve revenue. And in the line of that work, I discovered that my favorite aspect actually of running those projects was the fact that I helped people change how they worked and usually change how they felt about their work. And so that really, really was such a shift in the way I looked at, process improvement, looked at change in the workplace as the human aspect of it, and that personal feeling of what success was. And a lot of success in the workplace has to do with driving results. How do we achieve those goals? And so that for me is a big part of what I love doing and what I'm very good at.
Awesome. And if you don't have results, what is the point, right? I mean, let's put a really fine point on it, right? Because if you're not, first of all, anything you do, I believe, should, and I know we're not supposed to use we should not use the word should, but you need to be invested in what you are doing because you will have a better result. Mm-hmm. And that ties into foundation that Jess talks about, the bragging that Jeannette talks about, and the achievement aspect from beyond. What ways do you think, just some quick hits, what are ways that you believe leadership has changed? Or rather, what do you think is the most impactful change to leadership now, as opposed to even, I think about life in pre and post pandemic, but we can go back 10 years. So what do you think has been the biggest change in the way people approach leadership? Isioma?
From my perspective, what I've seen, I would say, maybe the last 2 decades, is this major shift towards the need for purpose and meaning in work. I would say that even when I graduated from college a good while ago, that the idea was, you go, you earn plenty of money. I was an engineer, so we're expected to earn like a whole bunch of money once you finish college. And kind of your personal likes and preferences were like nice, but they weren't like the highest priority. Yeah. And so, but now I see more and more with younger people as they enter the workplace, and more millennials as well, that need for being able to connect their individual purpose to what they're doing in the workplace.
Yeah.
So you could be an engineer, but a big part of your job is like, fundamentally we like problem solving, but how are you expressing that in the workplace? Do you have an avenue to do that maybe with other people? Or if you have a personal love of, music or, artistry, are you allowed to express that in any way, shape or form? Before you would just, it was clock in, clock out. Yeah, okay. You earn your money, you go home, get some rest, get the paycheck. But now it's like, does my work correlate to the vision I see of myself? And when it doesn't, when there's that disconnect, you see more and more people quiet quitting, getting out of the workforce early, switching jobs more and more frequently. And it's often because we're searching for that sense of meaning at work. I mean, it's an SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, for real. It's people take that very seriously, and it's so important in how we think about work and how employers also set up the workplace, because the ones who don't find that they have such attrition now. It's not enough to just provide, okay, we've paid you, like what else do you want? But that connection to the work they're doing is so important. So finding meaning and purpose in work, I'd say, is the biggest shift that I've seen.
Now, I have to ask you a question. You don't have to answer it. But as I'm guessing you're a little younger than me. I'm a Generation Xer. So I'm part of the generation that did a bunch of different things. First generation to do worse than their parents, always trying different things. Are you you're in the generation right after mine?
Yes, I would say millennials. We're part of the millennial
okay.
crew.
Okay, because I believe I don't know if it's you learned from us or what the deal was. So, but I completely agree with purpose. Part of that, what drove me to go from goal workshops to being more formalized Deb and Deb method and all that, is it drove me crazy seeing people miserable at work. It's like you have a choice, but if you don't spend the time figuring out what it is that you love, you're not going to end up doing what you love.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with everything. It's just my generation was a little bit late to to we were so busy figuring out the things that we love that we didn't stay in bad jobs. We just kept trying everything. I kind of feel like maybe in some ways we still do. Anyway, Jess, what do you think has been the biggest change in the way people approach leadership over the last 10 years or so?
Looking in trends, organizational trends, yes, we wanted efficiency. We wanted everybody to have clarity about their job. We wanted production. We wanted productivity. And when somebody accepted a job in our organization, that person, us, we knew what we were signing up for. And then here's what I would say. I would say there was potentially a disconnect. There was something here. Those people that succeeded and moved through companies on a true career path and enjoyed that process of a little more ambiguity, more problem solving, more innovation, more development and support of people are the ones who took the time to figure out what they loved about the process they had in front of them. They grew where they were planted. And I think that that's something that's easy to overlook today. And so we've moved into, I'm going to go where I can grow. But here's the deal. We don't grow when we're comfortable. So I would posit and challenge that while that's nice and while that's enticing, what are we doing? Because the right work is always going to have hard times. It may not always be hard, but there will be hard times. And so if we think about that, bringing it to today, we're putting different words around it. So I'm going to call out what it is. It's still that, but we're calling it, how do we have work-life balance? How do we find our purpose? Which, by the way, goes back to what I said about know yourself. So you can choose the problems you want to face. You can choose the challenges. You can choose the teams. You can lean into your skills and decide how do you want to grow to make an impact. And so maybe the job doesn't fit, but guess what? Put an end on it. We know in the corporate world these days, it's really awesome when we keep people for 2 years. So why aren't we can hire to that? We can actually say, hey, this is a 2-year cycle and let's re-up if we like it. Let's assess. How far did you come? Where did you want to go? What do you want to be doing? And is there then growth opportunity? Because I think the biggest challenge today, outside of all of that, because that's also all challenging, is that at the end of that time, when people are wanting to make that change, they're leaving because there's no growth opportunity. And so we as organizations at that organizational level have to show up and say, where are our growth opportunities? And when we put an end on a project or a skill set or a title even for that promotion level, let's just say internal growth, it allows us to all collectively have a place to go, to watch, to grow. So we can grow where we're planted, solve really good problems, make a difference and go, well, I don't agree with everything, but I can still work here and make a difference. It's going to help me become who I want to be. How long can I do that? Because it's really great for me to get this skill or that skill or achieve this goal of mine. So that's what I would say.
Okay.
Nice. A little bit of a rant.
I was going to say, I love that.
I didn't know it was going to be such a soapbox.
Soapboxes are welcome here.
Good.
Absolutely. And you reminded me, back when I lived in Chicago, I've lived in LA for over 27 years, so do whatever math you want. I started working in a publishing company, but I was in client services. And my goal, it was a foot in the door because I had a friend who worked in the department. But I knew when I started the job that my goal was to editorial. And I think I was there maybe 3 months, but I started a trend that they didn't like. And after 3 people left after me, they made a rule when they hired for client services to make sure the people they were hiring wanted to be in that department. So I was rather than growing where I was planted, I had my eye on a different windowsill.
And you know what? So there is a point. I'm not going to say that isn't important also. We just have to understand if that's always our goal, we're always looking at what's next, and we're never really fully achieving what both Isioma and Jeannette were talking about earlier about claiming what we have and writing down and sharing our accomplishments.
And I'd love to add a point to what Jess said. And I love just the statement about growing where you're planted. One exercise I like to do with clients sometimes is like I spy, because you find what you're looking for. A lot of times, we look maybe at the surface level of a role we're in, and it's like, this doesn't feel like a good fit. But if you look deeper, there are probably aspects of the role that you can actually flourish in, that you can definitely gain new skill sets and abilities, but you have to actually be looking for them. So that is actually a very good point.
And I think you also have to take advantage of them. I mean, the one thing that I think is really missing today is resilience, resourcefulness, and flexibility. All of us are a genius. All of us. If you don't believe me, go onto Facebook and look at all these new ways of doing things. I just love the ingenuity. But it took somebody who said, I'm not going to wait for my boss to tell me what's next. I'm going to put together the entrepreneurial as a leader. And I'm going to put together a plan, an idea, and then take it to my boss and see what might be missing, because I'm not up at his level yet, or her, and then learn that way. I remember listening to a speaker one time talk about a company that she worked for, and she saw a niche that was missing. So she put together the business plan. She did all the work around it, took it to her mentor and say, tell me what's missing. And then she fine-tuned it and gave it to the person. And then that person, her mentor, then became her supporter at a board meeting, and that became her new job. But again, it takes that person being resilient, saying, something's missing here. How can I be the solution?
Oh, I love that so much. So is your answer that how it's changed, that now there is more resilience, resourcefulness, and flexibility? Did you just answer?
Well, I think that's what is required of us. I don't know that everybody necessarily sees that. Unfortunately, I remember one time talking with a woman who got fired. And she got fired because she was waiting for her boss to provide her the where, when, how, and this is how it's going to happen, as opposed to, hey, this is what I need from you, boss, to make this work. And so she was looking at me for agreement. And I said, actually, your boss was correct. I mean, that is your job, is to get in there when you hit that wall, sort of like Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
To
make a person-shaped hole in the wall.
Yeah. Pick yourself up, become resilient, put in place the structure to support you. There's coaches out there. There's mentors out there. There's coworkers out there. I mean, there's podcasts like this out there to go and get that answer that you need, so that if you had a bad day, you can say, oh, now I feel better. I'm not the only one who's gone through something like that. But I think that piece is still missing.
And resilience is hard. We don't understand how resilient we are until we've gone through challenge and difficulty. Yep. And you were mentioning, that wherever we feel like we're running up against or repeating something over and over again, and we're trying to figure it out, that's actually building resilience. So we think we can be resilient, but we forget that those emotions, that baseline, the physical way that we feel in our bodies doesn't always feel good. Actually, I would say for me, I'll only speak for myself. Every time I know I am resilient, I have come through something that sucked. Okay?
So yeah, I think you just redefined resilience very accurately.
But it's so on point. I mean, success is an inside job.
Yeah,
it really is. And I think what Jess said is so on point. But we're not as a modern leader, as a boss, as a coach, we're not necessarily providing them with here's how you go do it.
Correct.
I remember a client one time saying to me, I mean, he'd done a great, brilliant job of improving his communication skills. He did a excellent job. But then he said, yeah, I've always been waiting for somebody to empower me. I said, well, next time, instead of waiting for someone to empower you, you empower yourself and then go seek help to improve your skills, improve whatever it is that you need to work on.
Resilience is for the courageous, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Well,
How's
but
that?
we have to be resilient whether we like it or not.
No,
No?
I would disagree with you. I know people that like, and I would piggyback off of what Jeannette just said. If we're waiting for permission, no, we're not resilient.
Exactly.
Okay.
As one example, how's that?
It works fine. You can see that I'm very myopic. I just happen to be around a lot of people who are more the Deb mindset than the more the doers. I do have friends who work actual jobs and they're happy and good for them.
Mm-hmm.
But, I did my time. For me, that lifestyle, I had just today, something came through that looked like a really interesting project. And then it said on site 5 days a week. No, that kind of a project is not going to fit in with Deb goals. It's a non-starter.
You've done the inside work. It's the inside job. You're demonstrating that, what Jeannette was just talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, when you know who you are, what you are, your place in the world, it makes the decisions easy because you know your compass.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The decisions can be, that's exactly right. I'm going to go back to something that Isioma said, which was, when something, and I'm going to paraphrase this and jump in to having a run-on sentence is something you said, okay? Which is,
you're in good company.
Right?
And run-on sentences welcome here.
Yeah, which is that relationship piece. So whether we're starting with ourselves or we're starting with somebody we work with, or we're finding a peer group, having that relationship where somebody will tell us if there's something in our teeth or is down, where somebody will tell us, hey, I've been noticing this thing and I really just wanted to check in with you because we're really good. All of us in this space and a lot of us that are watching and listening, we're really good at not sharing the hard times. And so when I'm up here and I'm saying resilience for me always I know I'm resilient because it sucked. I want to put out there that this relationship, if we can have just one person, even if it's just one person that we can go to and say, this is really hard right now, or say, I don't know what my lesson was. Can I lay it out on the table and can you help me find it? This is vulnerability at a sense that is not something that it goes deeper than what is typically talked about. And I wanted to go back to what Isioma was saying, because I think we've got to get to that level, regardless of who we are or where we're going, so we can grow where we're planted, so we can have these amazing relationships to get to basically be fully present. We can have goals and all that stuff, but to actually create value and have a good time doing it, even when it's hard, that also is required.
And I think taking off from what you're saying, Jess, is stop waiting for people to say, here's a coach for you, or here's a mentor for you. Instead, go find one.
Yes.
Find one of each is probably the best. Also, hire a therapist. I mean, do what you gotta do. Life is really too short, because you'll get to a certain point in your career and you're going to look back and go, I wish I woulda.
I think it just reminds me, what was it, Jeff? I think Jeff Bezos. Of people have had different variations of that thing called regret minimization. So when you're 80 years old and you're looking back in your life, what you regret the most, and then optimize to not do that. So that's the way, probably the way to look at
reverse engineer your regrets.
You can even do that in the day-to-day. In my household, we use regret minimization for small and medium-sized decisions in addition to where do we want to be and looking forward to look back as well. I like the regret minimization model all the time.
That is really brilliant.
And I say, which you all agree with because we've agreed on this already, it's you need to know who you are before you do anything. And this counts whether you are a leader, a teammate, an entrepreneur, a consultant, an expert, or whatever it is. First of all, you are the leader in your own life. You are your own main character, and that counts even as for a team member. But you need to get what you want, you need to know what that is. You need to know who you are and build from there. And then my other repeated line is the secret to success is there is no one secret, which is why I interviewed 60 different people for this book. And I would say less than a dozen were via email, but most of them were people that I interviewed. There was very little overlap. I think there were only 3 or 4 people that said the exact same thing. So I led them off a tangent to a different secret. But the whole purpose for this show, for all the things I do, is for people to see the menu of options, because you can try what Jess suggests. And if it doesn't work, well, I'd be surprised. Go.
Thanks. Yes, that's right. My level is now up here. Got it.
But try the present retreats, find a version of it that works for you.
Yes.
Find a way to brag about yourself in a way that helps you show up better, and look at what results you are striving to achieve. A la Isioma, look at all the different aspects and see which pieces of information from this conversation you could bring into your life to take out for a spin. And you keep the stuff that works and you alter the stuff that doesn't. And leadership in life, honestly, it is that simple. Get the support. Be who you are in your most amplified version. Move forward and see what happens. Okay, we solved everybody's problems. Anything to add on that front, or else I think it's a really good time to jump into goals to get.
Almost. I do want to add something, if I may.
I asked.
Okay, great. Just double checking, because sometimes we ask, but it's the polite thing to just keep going. And it's just where a place I'll be like, well, even if it's awkward, I'm going to ask. Let's do this.
It must be another ism. Another ism.
That's exactly, yeah. And
Jess, what would you like to add?
We are faced with so much data. It doesn't matter where it's coming from, the sources, the information, what we're seeking, what it's being given to us, whether we ask for it or not, is so overwhelming. And it's going to continue to get more overwhelming. And so I'm going to add the word discernment to this modern leadership, in the sense that we have all of these things to help us understand what's out. And then we've got to ruthlessly go for it. That ruthless understanding of what data is unnecessary, so that we can see what we have, because it's always going to be imperfect. We can get closer and closer to perfect, but there will be imperfection. So we're trying to find, where is it imperfect, so we can ask the question to add, so we don't get stuck. So we can actually keep moving forward, because as soon as we've lost our momentum and stalled, it doesn't matter how good of a leader we are, that momentum is gone, and it is harder to restart momentum and have small successes to build from again than losing it in the first place.
Well, I like what Danny said in the chat box here, is that picking off from what Jess just said, is like, when you get knocked down, it's how you get back up and what you do next, because that is what makes you stronger. So I love that.
And Danny says, when you break the branch of a caper bush, it doesn't weaken it, it grows back stronger. Danny is a chef, so we've got to have that bit of food. So thank you, Danny.
Hi, Danny. Awesome.
For watching us live and for sharing. There are plenty of people who are perfectly happy being knocked down. I think content to not take chances. I am not that person.
But there are a lot of people, though, that when they do get knocked down, they stay down.
Well, which is why, and we were talking before about measuring your success, the wins. Isioma is one of my favorite things to talk about, to keep that list of wins, even if you write down one win a day. So when you're feeling like you need a boost, because what Jess was saying, how do you get back momentum? I tell people, do something fun, do something that you love, and then use that energy as fuel to get back in your groove. But when you keep that win list, the accomplishment list, you've got something at your fingertips whenever you need to feel good and say, hey, I'm getting there, or I've done things, keep going.
It's like giving yourself that pat on the back.
Yes.
Yes.
And
yes.
and it's okay. Let your arm hurt. It's okay to pat yourself on the back. My mother's visiting again.
I like
she
this.
would always say, Jeff, does your arm hurt?
I love it.
So, it's always so much fun. People ask, what's your favorite networking event? I say, it's my show. I bring in new friends. I bring in friends I haven't talked to in a while. It's just fun. And a lot of the time, it is a bunch of yes-anding, people who agree and build upon each other. But isn't that how we build companies, how we build businesses, how we build ourselves, is to take ideas and see where they go? So,
well-run companies are like that. That's true.
Yes.
So, friends,
well-run.
well-run companies.
Good leadership.
And again, an entrepreneur is a leader. A consultant is a leader. You do not need to have a team to be a leader. You are, again, the main character in your story. This is your reminder to act like it. Anyway, now I think it's time to gift goals to the people. Jess, do you want to start us out?
Sure.
What goal are you gifting today?
Let's see. Well, I had one, but I don't like it anymore because I think I have a better one that would fit the conversation. Will you come back to me?
Jeanette, what goal would you like to gift?
Mine is going to be a fun one. And you guys are going to snicker, but I'm just amazed by the number of people that don't use the words please and thank you. So your goal is to say, please may I, thank you for opening that door for me. Thank you for getting that report to me. Please and thank you. You're going to be amazed at the transformation that occurs in your relationship with other people. Just those 3 words.
Okay, I always use please and thank you. Do I get a bonus goal?
A lot of people don't.
Oh, I believe it. And I love that you put that as the goal, because I certainly believe it. It's sort of like if you're in the elevator and you compliment someone's shoes or their dress or their whatever, or even their glasses, they get so happy.
They do.
So I'm going to yes and. If you already say please and thank you, remember to compliment people every now and then. That'll also help with the shift. Is that?
And anytime I go to the PO, the post office, and somebody, I don't care if it's a man or a woman, if somebody holds that door for me, I'll say thank you, sir, or thank you, ma'am. And I deliberately say sir and ma'am because it's just not something most people are going to say. And you just see their face; they just light up. It's just but it's so simple. It's just so simple.
I really love. I'm not even snickering. I think it's an amazing goal. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Isioma, what goal are you gifting?
The goal I would gift is lead with curiosity. And it touches on what both Jess has talked about and Jeannette as well, both curiosity about yourself. When you respond to something a particular way, ask yourself why. Like, why was I averse to what this person said? Or why did this make me happy? And then when it comes to other people around you as well, if somebody does something you don't understand, maybe your first impulse is like, this person doesn't like me, or this person doesn't want to, cooperate with me. Be a little more curious. Just take that extra step and ask yourself, could there be a reason why? And I find that a lot of people learn a lot more just by being a little bit more curious, just a little bit. Yeah.
Oh,
And it saves a lot of relationships too, because sometimes our interpretation is so far off. It's just unbelievable.
Well, weren't you the one who was talking emojis before, Jeannette? The way that people communicate, they think that emojis express sentiment.
Everybody has their own interpretation of an emoji.
Or
an LOL, how many different variations of LOL can you come up with,
what always gets me is when even when I'm sending an email or a text or whatever, I'm typing it with personality, and it's really frustrating when you think about the fact that they may or may not understand that. Sometimes there's no substitute for picking up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Jess, did we give you enough time?
You did. Thank you
you
both. And so here's what I would say. I believe in a weekly present retreat, which is deep work time focused on taking a look at the set of information for who we are, what we're doing, where we're going as an organization, and as a person bearing that torch and guiding the company forward ourselves as well. And so what I would say is, for the next time you are doing your deep work, in my world, that's a present retreat. So the next time you sit down and do your present retreat, make a list of all the hard, crunchy, difficult things that you avoid doing, try and delegate and never get done right, or that just, it might have merit. And then pick one to spend time on and see if you can fall in love with it. How can you reframe it and fall in love with it to grow where you're planted? Because that's growth potential.
Ooh.
I think a lot of people will have to fall in love with their numbers.
I'm wondering. Okay, pop quiz time, because I'm trying to think, is there something that I don't do that I don't let? Well, okay, I got the point. Jess, do you have an example of something that you've done this exercise with?
Let's see. I'm going to give you.
And then I'm going to ask Jeannette and Isioma to choose something for this goal.
I will tell you, yes. One time a few years ago, and I'll give a Red Direction example. We have a lot of content all over the place. And in that, we had a lot of offerings around much different content. So what was necessary was a change, because our resources changed. We wanted to be more strategic. We actually decided we wanted to focus on less things. So I had to go through, and this was really hard, and I hate doing this, I cut 60% of our offering. I got rid of 60% of the things we offered so that we could be more dialed in, more focused, more clear. And all the other stuff was actually embedded somehow into the 40% that was left. So we reduced redundancy internally. We increased marketing dollars. We had the ability to decide, how do we just talk about a few things instead of a lot of things? And those are the hard processes, is how do we really get better? How do we let go of the things we love in the space to become what we can become that we don't even know yet? And that's scary and exciting and requires courage as well.
I love that.
That's a good example for you?
Oh, it's a great example. Yeah. And because of that, I have my example, but I'm going to ask Isioma and then Jeannette if they have one. No, Jeanette's shaking her head. Isioma's smiling.
So, interestingly enough, and I like the example she gave about changing basically work processes, because in my earlier career, that literally was like my job, literally changing the way things operate. And I think it always comes back to the idea of value, or how you define value. Because if you think about it from that perspective, you're less worried about, oh, I'm losing this and I'm losing that. But the ultimate thing is that, am I getting the value that I want out of it? If you are doing less and you've dropped a whole bunch of things to get that same value, you're much better off. And so I generally encourage people to, whenever they're worried about changes or transitions, look at it from the perspective of value. Are you getting value out of it? And if it's the value that you want, is the value that's allowing you to achieve what you need to achieve, then it's good.
Nice. Jeannette, do you still pass? It's okay.
I might have one for you, Jeannette.
Oh, even better.
Okay, so if I were to put on Jeanette's shoes and say, it would probably be for one of her clients at this point, and that would be, one of the things that Jeannette does is work through with companies, are the right people on the right seats on the bus? And this is something, and so from my perspective in growth potential, this is something that comes up to me for Jeannette, because she has the ability to help businesses make sure the right people are on the right bus, not only in their skill set, but in where their motivation is, so that everybody understands how they get to that bigger goal.
Yeah.
How about that, Jeannette?
You're good.
Okay.
I love it. One of the advantages for when the people on the call actually do know each other.
You get to learn more about yourself that way, you know?
Mhm.
I have been known to say, okay, what is your goal? Oh, you want me to give you one? Okay, that's fine. I do this in my goal mixers all the time. And I think for me, something that I'm trying to decide which example to give. I'll give the second one because we're running a little long. One thing that I love is speaking. And I feel, especially in challenging times, I need to put myself in more places to talk, which means I need to do less writing, which I also love. I am a freelance writer. I'm like a 5 things. So what I have done is I have relegated my freelance work, my actual writing quiet stuff, it has to be done on the weekends. Because it a little bit opposed to taking me time on the weekends, which I also do. But I also know that if I'm putting myself out there to try to get into companies and speak to more organizations, that's legwork time. You cannot do that and then sit down and write. I mean, maybe you can. I can't. I like need to be on that channel, and it's actually been more. It's easier to keep up with the flow when you are on in this persona all the time. And it's really just the last couple of weeks. I don't even try and get my writing done during the week. I'll send emails, I'll get all the research together, I'll get all the stuff. So when I can sit down, it gets done really quickly. But that for me, because, you know, I'm great at promoting other people, putting myself out there, always a challenge, right? But when you feel called to be a voice for something, you have to do the uncomfortable things, and you have to look at your schedule, swap time, figure out when you're going to do the work to get the you that needs to be out there.
Mhm.
Did I understand the assignment right, Jess?
Yes,
I think
you
so.
did. I like it.
Excellent. This is we could keep going, but we will wrap up. Friends, this has been great. I think the conversation about leadership, which I think I have a couple times a year, it's always different because it's in this constantly changing cycle. And if we're not changing with it, what are we doing? So, friends, where can people learn more about you? Jess?
Well, go to reddirection.com. You can listen in to the podcast. You can read any of the articles that I publish, all 100% written by me, all 100% produced in terms of the conversation and the guests by me, which is great. I love that. 100% human right here. Have fun.
Excellent. Jeannette, where can people learn more about you?
Go to Seibco.com. And then on the / you can put blog if you want to read my articles. I post one a week. It's focused on management and leadership challenges. If you want to learn more about books like the Brag book or the hiring book, go to books. So
Awesome. And Isioma, where can people learn more about you?
Well, you can definitely check me out on my website, which is my full name, isiomautomi.com. I also write a lot on LinkedIn, usually around leadership, innovation, and the future of work. So mine is fully human, but with some AI augmentation occasionally.
And I am at the Deb Method everywhere. And if you go to the debmethod.com/blog, you can get the recaps, watch the replays, get the goals, get the inspiration you need, again, at your fingertips. And again, follow me at the Deb Method everywhere. I am live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And you can also subscribe to GoalChat on your favorite podcast platform. We are on the Marketing Podcast Network. Bam. Oh, and if you need some help with your goals, grab a copy of your goal guide and or 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting at your favorite place to buy books. such a fun, in-depth, but also yay, go you kind of conversation, which is like the best kind. Friends, what final thought would you like to leave people with today? And I'm mixing things up. Jeannette, what final thought do you want to leave people with today?
Empower yourself. Like really, really get out there, take ownership, and honor your greatness, and go get the skills, go get the support you need to be all you can be.
I love that you said honor your greatness. I think that might be my favorite thing you said today, because we all know what our gifts are. We just don't give it the time and attention and we deserve. So amazing. Isioma, final thought.
I would say go after your goals, but create systems that support what you want to achieve. At work, I think people don't think a lot about that, but you really, really, just as much as you do with your exercise routine, you think about your work, you have to create systems that support the goals that you want. So get support doing that as well.
Awesome. Love it. And Jess, final thought to you.
Recognize that business and life is like doing a puzzle without the box cover. We don't have a box cover to know what our business is going to look like or our life looks like when we get done. We are building it piece by piece. And so embrace what's hard, embrace what's different, find those relationships, know what motivates you and how you can communicate better so that you can go get what you want from this world. Not only right now, 10 years and 20 years from right now. Definitely right now, though.
But again, it goes back to the importance of setting the foundation. Can't get what you want unless you know what that is. When you set the foundation, you have something to build upon. And when you know who you are and you embrace yourself and have a plan, you put yourself in a position to succeed. Thank you so much, Jess, Jeannette, and Isioma for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. You are a leader no matter what your role is. You are the main character of your own life. So start playing with some of these leadership tips and skills. Go on out there and go for it, because we know you can do it.